Hi, Zach here, and today we have Aaron Kleinhandler, the CEO of Better Car People on the podcast. Better Car People blends AI-powered technology and live agents to revolutionize dealer customer engagement. And we have an awesome conversation for you guys today. Aaron, thanks for joining me on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. I'm happy to be here.
So, Aaron, you've led companies like Spectrio through growth via add-on acquisitions and then moved into automotive BDC space with Better Car People. What lessons from your past experience have shaped how you've led Better Car People today?
Yeah, I mean, we started Spectrio. I'm one of the founders of Spectrio, but we took it through multiple private equity ownerships, three or four private equity ownerships and investment cycles. But we started it as an engagement company. So I mean, kind of pretty simple concept. When you got put on hold, you heard music and messages, and people were being put on hold all the time, and the messaging that they got um, often was not customized, not on point, and it made the wait time seem very long. And um, when that agent picked up the phone and to help that person, or finally, hopefully, did, that experience had already started off poorly. So that was really the founding of the business, and we continued to add on products and services both through acquisition and through product development that added to that customer experience, eventually evolving into one of the largest digital signage businesses in the business. Our vertical focus was um, automotive aftermarket, medical, retail, as well. I mean, we ended up having about 140,000 locations when I finally sold it the last time and exited the business. Automotive was something that we were always in. We partnered a lot with the Bridgestone, Michelin, Goodyears of the world, but ended up acquiring a business called Automotive Broadcasting Network just as I was leaving, and a couple other ones, and didn't realize at the time, but we probably had what most would consider a large number of auto dealerships as well as automotive aftermarket. If you had the two, the independent repair shops and the automotive space, we probably had over 20,000 locations. And we built that business as you really, especially as we started talking about how you bring message from online, or because we did videos among other things, and in store. So we had music, it was digital signage, it was service lane boards or menu boards, and how you brought that customer in and provided a consistent marketing experience, both whether it be online with video or in store with digital devices, tablets, kiosks, or anything else. No, there was a major miss. We thought that, and as I was looking for my next thing, automotive was something I knew very well. Not like, as I've come to learn, that I think people who end up in automotive tend to stay in automotive. They go to different technology companies, they become general managers at different dealership groups or through different OEM brands. But everyone seems to know each other, so I'm a bit of an outsider in it. But one of the things I was seeing, and our clients were always complaining about, was that experience going from, uh, you know, what you talked about, your messaging online or when you were on
Mhm.
the phone. We did both on your website, to that journey into in store and how inconsistent it was. So the thesis was, I was looking for a business, and I came up with one of my partners, Benjamin Shamsizadeh, who ran a company called Central BDC. He was working at bringing his goal was to set as many appointments as possible, and has started to develop some technology in it. And I kind of took it, I met with him and took it to the next step, which was, what other kind of tools would we need to make that omnichannel communication and that customer life cycle better for dealerships? And my experience working with the brands, so we would always partner with brands and with Spectrio and take that
Mhm.
message that they wanted to have, but really localize it. So each individual business, could have their own um, customized way of doing it. And because we were very efficient, we were able to do it at scale. And I thought the automotive space was ripe for something like this. There are a lot of people trying to do technology. There are a lot of people, who are like Ben, who is in more with the people in the call center. Very few wanted to do it together. Managed services is not as sexy as technology.
Mhm.
It's not as formulaic as kind of doing a BPO type business, which is business outsourcing, which is kind of what the call center is. It's hard. And in automotive, given the landscape, it's extremely hard. But we think it's a great way to go. And we've been developing products and services ever since.
That's really interesting, especially like the multiple exchanges of PE ownership and kind of merging BDC and AI and that extra touch. And I wanted to ask you, can you walk us through what your vision was when you accepted the role as CEO at Better Car People? And you mentioned a little kind of what attracted you to the auto space, but what's been surprising about the automotive space to you?
I think the most so what attracted me to the auto space is something that I'm very bullish on the automotive space in general. As I said, I had great experiences at Spectrio with it. But I'm a firm believer that what sets us apart, what sets the automotive space apart, is that they're deeply ingrained in their communities. There are essentially a lot of small business. Even the larger, mega dealerships are deeply ingrained in their localities. Therefore, I thought that, what I learned at Spectrum, which is being able to to work with brands and localize. I thought the auto space was something that I can continue doing, and I'm a firm believer in that. And that's something that, from an investment perspective, brand relationships, are something that translates to investment dollars. The fact that you are working with both local dealerships and the larger brands make you, in my opinion, significantly more ingrained than either working with one or the other. So, and we proved that out at Spectrio. It attracted a lot of investment dollars. And that was another thing another reason I saw the automotive space as being a natural kind of fit for what I believed in from a business philosophy perspective. There's a lot of people in the space. So if, as we have now started to mature as a company, we've made 5 or 6 acquisitions, and uh, it's really what attracted both the industry and the availability to be able to acquire customers or acquire new technology or new products. So it's kind of a natural fit for both, for my skill set, but also, um, it's something that the PE world and the lender world understands as well.
Definitely well said, Aaron. And Better Car People merges live agents with AI-driven tools to engage leads across text, email, chat, phone, 24/7. How do you strike the balance between automation and human interaction to preserve being personalized, but also scaling responsiveness as well?
So we use AI in the beginning to make us more efficient, to quickly identify what a lead is actually asking for, what are some suggestions that we could respond, and always have humans first. Even now with some of our products that where we've processed millions of leads over the years, we still believe that we have over 50% of our leads that come in through our email response product. While they're reviewed by AI and AI can make suggestions and help us put together an answer, our confidence level is that, 50% of them still need humans involved, whether helping crafting the answer to making sure we're addressing the questions. So for us, we have always erred in the case of let a human, whether the human's actually crafting the response or reviewing it, editing it, choosing between, 3 or 4, suggested responses. So we've always done that. Um, and we think that that's, incredibly important. And, also AI is great at answering questions sometimes. Sometimes it's not, even now. But it definitely does make you more efficient. Humans, though, um, the car journey always ends with a human being. Not always, but 87, was it 87, 89% of them involve a person ending up in a dealership. So humans are going to have to get
Hmm.
involved. If you don't design a process that allows the customer to interact with a human when they want to, and communicate the way they want to, right? They can chat, they can text, they can email. That consistency of communication. Right now, we think humans are an integral part of that, and we don't see that changing anytime soon.
So your acquisition of Proactive Dealer Solutions in mid 2024 added training, voice AI through Brooke, and retail consulting to your platform. How have you expanded your capabilities and value props for dealerships since then, since adding that acquisition?
Yeah, I mean, we thought it was a natural fit. I mean, it was interesting. A lot of people don't believe in, again, I always fall back into the human aspect of it. What we love, people say you bought Proactive because you wanted Brooke.ai, which is one of the first to market, still one of the most, one of the most successful voice AI agents out there to set service appointments. We have deep integrations with the DMSs and the schedulers. Um, but we actually have been running a service BDC. We actually, for the cost of less than one agent, one
Hmm.
full-time agent or full-time coverage at a dealership, we can cover you, 24/7 with both human and AI by combining the two businesses. But most importantly, we love the training aspect of the business because we've taken that, you know, as dealerships have changed, they still struggle with daily operations, especially in sales and service, that sales and service operational aspect. And Proactive has become experts at it. And it's again, the business has gotten even more complicated. Businesses, sometimes have 30 to 40 different types of technology. Dealerships don't know how to interact with that technology. And what we liked about having our coaches or work with the OEMs was being able to say, hey, this is how you have to work with technology. We're very bullish on integrating technology, whether it be AI, CRMs, DMSs, and advancements in it. However, dealerships have not kept up with um, the way their operations need to happen to actually take advantage of those solutions. And that's why, frankly, that's why the cancellation rate from a lot in our business is much higher than
Hmm.
industry standards. Right? We don't have long-term contracts. Most of us don't have long-term contracts. Dealers are changing personnel all the time. They're changing technology vendors all the time. They're not using the technology they have. And the training aspect of it, we think is equally important. And frankly, we even send trainers in how to use our own technology. That sets us apart with others. How's our technology going to work with your CRM? How is AI going to interact with your CRM? And being able to train to that is extremely important. And then finally, we've taken that training both on the digital retailing side and the years and years of training, the years and years of recorded phone calls that we've made from our BDC, BCP's legacy, BDC, and we've used that to train our AI. And we think that that's actually different than others have done because we're taking that training and training our AI to imitate best practices.
So let me ask you a question. When you're onboarding a customer with Brooke AI or just kind of AI in your platform in general, what is that process like? I've heard when I was at a conference recently, a vendor explaining when a dealer started their product, it's like a B plus grade. And over time, as there's input, like back and forth, it kind of improves to like A plus product. But there's some initial, because AI is new, it's new for the dealership, it's new for the process. So curious, like what that onboarding is like.
People think that they can just put AI and it's going to be able to figure things out. That's not the case. Uh, in our kind of technology ecosphere, we have DMSs, we have schedulers, we have inventory and part systems, we have recall management software. We have feeds from the OEM that need to be integrated within. And in the beginning, you need to start off slowly. The idea that you're going to come in and be perfect every time, it's just not going to happen. I mean, we have to start the processes and understand, the scheduler more times than not has not been touched by the dealership, has not been optimized. How about this? Have not been optimized by the
Hmm.
dealership. So, we start with that discovery. And again, I think that sets us apart from our competition is that we actually have people who've run service BDCs running our onboarding process, who've run sales BDCs. And we've taken all that we've learned over the years of being consultants and trainers to make sure that when we onboard, we're not just onboarding our technology, we're making sure that the dealership technology is optimized. And our account managers are continuously doing that. It really does take about 2 to 3 months before there's that trust on both sides, that this is going to take care of this, that we're going to not schedule too many loaner cars, all those things that the service advisor has in their head that's not put into the scheduler, or the BDC rep that they currently have that's not put into the scheduler. It, your AI can only be as smart as what's in the systems. It's not necessarily what's in the head. And sometimes that takes, like you said, a month, month and a half, 2 months to make sure that we are constantly analyzing results and tweaking it. Is this a scheduler issue? Is there an issue with the way the feeds are coming over? Fortunately or unfortunately, our DMSs and CRMs are sometimes not the most their APIs aren't, I'd say, the most advanced, and compared to say a Salesforce or some of the more advanced, CRM or other, SAPs in the world.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference between like other verticals and auto, the access to APIs, integration. People take a lot of like Salesforce or HubSpot, how they have their integration marketplaces set up for granted, but definitely in auto, it's a much different animal from my experience too.
Yes, and you have systems that were never designed to have that kind of interplay, and there is not the change management on the dealership side. And if it's not broken, if it's not broke, don't try it. Leave it alone, right? Don't mess with this. And I think a lot of the technology has taken that aspect, and there's a fear of competition. I mean, Salesforce, I think, really started it by opening up their ecosystem and saying, "Hey, I don't care if a competitor of mine is integrating with me. We want to keep that. If we have a great core product, we should embrace people trying to work with us." I think that's changing a bit, but it's still we know it's still there, and frankly, it's not a priority for a lot of people. So even the legacy systems don't necessarily make it a priority in making their integrations more accessible. And then from security purposes too, we're a SOC 2 compliant um, group, so we go through rigorous security reviews every year. But that's not necessarily, you know, we have agents, other agents. I mean, we have a lot of personal information that sits in everyone's system. So security is definitely a consideration, especially what happened over last summer.
Definitely agree there. And kind of shifting gears, and talking about some industry trends, challenges. So consumers now expect immediate engagement across channels. How do you see omni-channel human assist AI evolving in dealership retail over the next couple of years?
Well, I think human AI is already there. So whether we like it or not, or human and tech, let's start with human and technology, even the basics of an auto response that a lot of CRMs or service advisors have. I mean, they have schedulers where people interact with on the service side and on the sales side. It's a CRM or information systems. So we were never great. The dealerships are never perfect at using their CRMs. Salespeople are often engaged with customers at site. If you ask the dealership where the biggest turnover is, it would be in the BDC department. They're constantly turning people over. So it was never really, it was really very good. I think people saw that, hey, we're going to have someone manage our chat. We're going to have the autoresponder respond in our emails, and I'm going to have an agent maybe respond to text when they come in. It was very disjointed. Your
Hmm.
texting partner was not the same as your chat partner, which was not the same person who designed your tasks and automations within your CRM. So it was always very disjointed, and humans had to adapt to that, either for the better or for worse. And these days, I think people expected it, so they understood that they were not going to. I mean, how many times, even now, you call and you speak to an agent on the phone, not an automotive, but let's just say my bank, and I get transferred to another department and having to explain yourself again.
Hmm.
Now,
Oh yeah.
multiply that, right? It happens all the time. Happened to me the other day. I mean, or how many times, or an AI, every time there's a background noise, your phone starts off and you have to start over again because of AI. Um, multiply that dealership by all these different touch points. So, these days, I think customers are getting fed up with it. They expect a consistent communication. If I'm speaking to a BDC agent, I need to be speaking, I want to understand if that person is texting with me, chatted with me, and frankly, any other type of communication. And if I'm a customer, if I'm having a conversation with you now, that's great. I might want to text with you at 8 o'clock at night. So AI needs to be able to take all of that into consideration, and work so that it has context. And then when the humans come involved, they need that same context, and they need to be able to understand where that communication is. We have something called Agent Assist with our team, where it says, "Hey, this is the conversation. Here are some suggested talking points for you." And then, frankly, if all this stuff is immediate, if that human response, if it's time for a human to speak, and that human doesn't get back to you for 2 hours,
Mhm.
they're at the next dealership. I
Sure.
mean, what is it? Statistics say like the average person visits 1.2 dealerships before he buys a car. That statistic hasn't changed in years these days. So, we still have to, if you fail in any of these touch points, you're not going to be that 1.2. You're not going to be that one dealership that the people choose. So we designed a system that has human backup always. If AI has answered the question and then we don't get a conversion, is it time for a human or someone, whether it be our human or the dealership's human, dealership's employee, it needs to be able to enter the conversation and enter the conversation by adding to it. That's really, really, really important as well.
And another question. So you have reconditioning time, you have inventory availability, service retention, and now you even have EV adoption, like a lot of different changes in how dealers are operating. So how does Better Car People support dealers in these shifts and service follow-ups and loyalty especially?
So, I mean, loyalty is at an all-time low. And my business partner, Matthew, who's been in the car business his whole life, says there are a lot of great cars out there. It used to be there are brands that you would stay away from. These days, there are a lot of people making great cars, they're making very good EVs. And people are also now keeping cars longer and longer. So loyalty is very important. So that customer life cycle is extremely important. And how you manage that customer life cycle from, we're not in the lead generation business per se. We work at lead generation if you've already been a customer, but we're not a digital marketing company. Um, but how you treat that customer from the initial lead to the sale to follow up service, um, and loyalty is very, very important. And we've designed products that attack all of those. So we have a loyalty program that's not brand specific that we have for our customers. So if a dealership has multiple brands, they can operate under a loyalty program, similar to a points program. Um, but also, with the Brooke.ai should not fail. If it does, a human needs to get involved. That customer that goes onto your website and is not able to schedule a service appointment, or via phone, or can't get through to someone who doesn't get a return phone call, is someone who's going to go to your competitor next. So, again, if you look at what your operations are, and that's kind of what the consultants do sometimes too, is come, hey, where are these touch points where you're actually not responding? We have a mystery shop program. We do mystery shops for OEMs, but we take those for our existing clients, and it actually guided the way that we've developed our product. We'll be releasing a new version of Brooke AI coming out in the next 2 weeks to even make that further. But what we've gotten the best results are is when Brooke AI fails, and that fails it could fail for a different reason. I could be I'm more than happy to hang up on a AI if my daughter calls in and she needs to be, I'm late for picking her
Yeah.
up at soccer, you know, but do I recognize that? And we have our people call those people back, right? Why'd you hang up? Were you unable to set an appointment? Is there anything else we can help you with? Dealerships need to be the same way. They can't just rely on AI. to do things or technology to do things. So those human operations are really important.
So tell us in the next 2 weeks, big release coming out, just some of the highlights, kind of the overview for everyone listening.
Sure, and this is not why I came, but I'm more than happy to talk about new products all the time. We've always had AI for the most part, except for Brooke, but most of our AI has always been sitting in the background, working to make our agents more efficient, to make the technology products that we do, or the marketing products or the service products we do more efficient. Um, Everyone's aware of those ADF emails that come through and how crazy they can be when they get into your CRM. So we've always used AI to interpret that and then again make our
Hmm.
responses better. But for the first time, we're actually going to have on the sales side a sales AI product. So we've been integrated with our partners like Cox and Podium, and again using our what we've learned from our training, we've actually crafted our own AI sales AI program that's going to respond to incoming leads. What's different though is that we are going to, right now, we are manned 24/7 with agents who are not necessarily reaching out and communicating, but they're reviewing responses to make sure that they're on point and they're correct. When AI goes back and forth with someone 8 or 9 times or 10 times, we like one of our agents to then start reviewing. Well, why is it going back and forth? Is there something the AI is not getting? Is there something in the tone? Are they not able to set an appointment? So different than others, similar to a lot of the other AI companies out there, what we're doing though is we're having our people 24/7 monitor our AI product, and we'll be launching with 2 new OEMs this product, which we will announce in about a week or so.
And how do you perceive the future of dealership customer experience over the next 3 to 5 years, kind of adapting, changing, and what role will AI agents play in that transformation?
So I think AI agents can take over more and more of those communications. Again, it's hard. Like, how do I always say I was on the phone with my management team earlier today, and I said, how do you define success with AI? The way I define it in my business is I'm able to convert a lead into an appointment. I'm able to make my people more efficient. How is a dealership going to define it? How do the technology people define success with AI? I bet you if you got 10, if you got 5 dealers, 5 members from the OEM, 5 technology players, you might see some common themes. I'm not sure any of us would actually have a great answer on how you define success in AI. I think we are going to be able to define success more. I think if you can't define it and you're not being able to deliver an ROI, you're not going to be a vendor. You're not going to be a partner with your customers. I do think on the customer side, people are going to be using AI to do more, kind of more of that upper level searching for things. I don't think we're going to have agents talking to agents, AI agents talking to AI agents in this business. The fact is that for the vast majority of our dealership customers or OEM customers, um, sorry, their customers, right? The people who are buying the cars. This is the largest purchase they're going to make. It's one of their largest expenses. They spend more time in their cars. The only thing I would probably, is housing, and maybe what they spend on their children. That's an emotional decision. Is AI, the emotion of going and picking out your new car is something that is an experience that humans have to do. AI can make that a lot easier. They can make those experiences more seamless. As I mentioned, that the friction point of moving from online researcher to car buyer to not being able to get a service appointment is pretty high. I think AI is going to continue to make that better. But again, it's those human operations at the dealership are going to have to adapt. And if they don't, AI is not going to might make things better, but that friction point is not going to decrease.
Definitely well put. And the last segment, Aaron, it's been great so far. Rapid fire. So, 3 questions. First one, what excites you most about your work at Better Car People right now?
Everyone always says the people they work with, and for the most part, that is true. I have 2 great partners, who love the car business. I mean, they live and breathe it. What I like about it is frankly, is working with brands and working with the local businesses and trying to make great products. The amount of time that we spend talking about product is really probably what I love doing the most at Better Car People, and ideating and working with those teams, hearing feedback from the customers about our products, which can be good and bad, is really what probably excites me the most. Not
And
not
what
not producing financials and not doing um, kind of corporate stuff. It's coming up with cool things that we think can make money.
Love that. And my next question, one tech tool you can't run your business without today.
Oh, I mean, I'd probably say again, Google Meet or any of these technology tools, because we are so spread out. Frankly, from a financial system, NetSuite, and is probably one of our biggest tools right now, having kind of being able to analyze and produce financials. We've gone through as we put these businesses together, it's been quite a journey. But having the right systems, and we pair it with Salesforce. So Salesforce as a customer management system, even though they're not the best people in the world to deal with. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that. They can be very, very, very frustrating people. Um, but knowing that customer 360, that Salesforce and both NetSuite on the financial side and Salesforce actually play, I don't think we could scale the business without it.
Yeah, understand it,
Invest in it. Invest in those
especially
in those tools.
yeah, with all the acquisitions, different finances coming in and kind of keeping that organized. So, my last question, in one word, what's the biggest opportunity for dealers today?
Um, that's a good question. Retention. Customers who can if you can retain your customer through their life cycle, you will be successful. And the more you do that, it's based on customer experience. I can't stress that enough. A good customer experience defies expectations, because the vast majority of the people buying a car don't have high expectations about going into a dealership. They don't think that what they saw online is what's going to happen. And then when they buy the car, good customer service is important. I don't think people want to go online and buy a car, but for all intents and purposes, it's a very, it's um, they kind of understand it. They're in control over almost the whole time. No, don't get me wrong. The satisfaction levels of some of these cars that are being bought only online has not been great. But they understand the process. I think if dealerships can get that part right, that journey right, retention is always going to drive success.
Wow, powerful advice, Aaron. And it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I've
Thank you,
learned a
Zach. I
lot.
enjoyed it. I think next time that you randomly ask me and I'm going to launch a new product, I will definitely hop on again, which is random. We didn't plan that out.
Great timing, though. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah.